The story starts with a boy named Rick Ricker, who is running behind his school bus because he has been left behind. After running some distance, the bus stops. And first of all, he hits the side mirror, then hits a signboard, and then with the door, and finally board the bus, where he sees his crush, Jill Johnson. But Jill doesn't pay attention to him because she doesn't even know him. When no one gave the seat to Rick on the bus, his friend Trey made him sit with him and told him to stop looking at Jill. She's not going to come to you. After this, all the students go to a science field to see the unique animals created with the help of science, where Rick follows Jill to see a bird and clicks a photo of it. But due to the flash, the bird got burnt to ashes. Now before anyone could see it, Rick used his intelligence to extinguish the fire and kicked the bird away. Unfortunately, due to the bad luck of Rick, the bird hits straight to Lance and he turns red with anger. Lance was about to start raining punches on Rick, Lance's uncle, Landers, and the owner of the field stops him. But as soon as Uncle left, Lance pushed Rick, and Rick fell on the poop lying on the ground. Rick quickly picked up a bottle to clean it and cleaned the shirt. Rick's bad luck once again comes to the fore, and he gets to know that the liquid he used was a kind of animal-attracting liquid, due to which many animals started climbing on it. Meanwhile, a radioactive dragonfly bit him. Now, Rick's health worsens, and he reaches home exhausted, where he vomits in his uncle's fish tank and goes to sleep. The scene shifts, and we see Uncle Landers showing his DNA-altering machine to some investors, which fails badly during testing, due to which an investor starts laughing at him. But as soon as he touches the Landers, his entire life comes into the Landers. He dies, and the Landers become more powerful. After this, Landers took the life of another investor standing nearby. On the other hand, Rick wakes up with a heavy head and starts gathering information about dragonfly bite on the computer. Meanwhile, his eyes fall on his crush Jill, who is changing clothes. Seeing this, Rick gets scared and immediately runs away to eat food. After that, Rick goes to a science fair, where the students are introduced to Stephen Hawking. After this, Rick's eyes fall on Jill. He goes to the wash basin thinking about the proposal, but here, his hand stuck to the wash basin and directly hit Lance's head. Now Lance started beating Rick, and meanwhile, Rick accidentally pushed Stephen Hawking into the beehive. Seeing this, Rick silently sneaks away from there. Later, Rick realizes that his hand is even sticking to the walls. Seeing this, the gentleman started trying to climb the wall and also succeeded. While understanding his special power, Rick noticed an old woman who was about to be hit by a truck, but Rick quickly reached there and pushed her away and saved her life. Despite colliding with the truck, not even a single hair of Rick was damaged. After this, the crowd standing around started appreciating Rick, because only a superhero can do such a thing as he saved the woman. After that, Rick goes to his house, where his friend Trey and Uncle were setting up some furniture. As soon as he reaches here, Rick's uncle accidentally points the nail gun at him, but Rick catches it very easily and says, "That was easy." Now Rick tells Uncle that maybe he has got some superpowers, but he is very troubled by this. After this, Rick goes to the balcony and takes the ring given by his father. With this, a flashback begins, in which we see that when Rick was young, some thieves caught his parents and Rick tried to save them. But even at that time, Rick's efforts caused harm instead of benefit. As Rick tried to snatch the gun from the thieves, his foot slipped and he was accidentally shot, who took his father's life, and at that time, he gave this ring to Rick. It means Rick has been unlucky since childhood. As soon as the flashback ends, Jill comes to the balcony after fighting with her family and tells Rick that she wants to go for a long drive in his car. Now, Rick only had a bicycle. He started looking for a car for $300, but there was no car for $300. Meanwhile, he sees an ad of a loan company. Meanwhile, he also got a video call from Professor X, who was talking about his superpowers. The next day, Rick goes to the bank with his aunt to take a loan, but his loan is rejected because he had no working background. Before he could make any request, thieves entered the bank and stole it and ran away. Immediately after the thief runs away, Rick hears a gunshot and he immediately runs to check on his uncle sitting in the car. When he checked the crowd around the car, he found that someone was playing a monkey game. Rick was about to take a sigh of relief, but suddenly he saw his uncle lying nearby. Uncle was still alive, so he was sent to the hospital. On the other hand, the age of the Landers was increasing rapidly. To avoid death, he needed to take the lives of more people. In such a situation, he took the life of his assistant. Meanwhile, Rick leaves his uncle at the hospital and goes to meet Professor. The professor gives him a tour of the school. When he meets his wife on the way, and a fight starts between them. After some time, his wife also slapped Rick and said, "Why are you roaming around like this? Prepare your costume as soon as possible." After this, Rick designs his dress at night, and after many attempts, he finalizes his dress, which looks something like a dragonfly. Here, Landers realizes that he has to kill young people every day to stay alive. If he wants to become permanently immortal, then he has to kill many people at once. The Landers immediately made a plan to attack on Collage. On the other hand, Rick hears that there is a commotion in his college. When he immediately reached the college, he saw Landers, who was hiding in a heavy costume and was going to kill people. Rick immediately started a fight with him, and the Landers had to run away hiding his face. Now everyone in college, including Jill, was praising Dragonfly Superhero. While going home, Jill was thinking about superheroes, and suddenly Rick came to meet her, having changed his clothes and carrying flowers. Rick did not tell her the truth that he is a superhero and started trying to talk to her, but Jill did not show any special interest in him and started leaving. But after going a short distance, some gangsters followed her and started trying to molest her. Rick immediately comes in his superhero costume, and after beating all the boys, Rick starts romancing Jill. On the other hand, Landers finds out how many lives he will have to kill to become immortal. At night, Jill came to Rick's house for a dinner party and started helping his aunt cook. After some time, his friend Lance and his uncle Landers also came here. The Landers go to meet Rick in his room, while Rick also sneaks into the room in his superhero costume. But after seeing the Landers, he started trying to hide his real identity by hiding on the roof and sometimes behind Landers. After much searching, the Landers went back. As soon as the Landers reach down, Rick also comes into the house through the main gate, so that everyone thinks that he was not at home. After this, everyone eats food, and then the Landers notice a wound on Rick's hand, which he had given to the superhero Dragonfly during the fight. He tries to interrogate him, but when nothing works, he leaves with Lance. After dinner, when Auntie falls asleep, Rick plans to have a romance with Jill. Jill smells Auntie's fart and is about to kiss Rick. Suddenly, Landers comes back here to clear his doubts. By the way, friends, if you like the story, then you can also press the like button below. There is no charge for this. After entering the house, Landers made Rick unconscious with one blow and went away after sucking the life of his aunt. After Auntie was declared dead in the hospital, her husband, that is Rick's uncle, was forbidden to tell this truth. But still, a doctor told him. Auntie's funeral was held the next day, where the grief-stricken uncle lies down on Auntie's coffin and starts crying. But then, we come to know that she is someone else's wife. His wife has arrived now. No sooner had Uncle been taken away from the other woman than Auntie's body slipped from the coffin and fell straight into the fire, and her last rites were performed. After the funeral, Jill comes to Rick and tries to talk to him, but now Rick advises her not to talk to him, because the lives of everyone who talks to him are in danger. Rick went into depression and stayed at home for months, hiding his identity. Then one day his uncle came to him and told him that he should use his powers now, because Landers, that is the Hourglass, had killed a lot of people, and now you have to stop it and save the world. After getting motivated by Uncle's words, Rick went straight to the event where the Landers were being awarded. Rick asks him, who is Hourglass? Because he still doesn't know that the real villain is Landers himself. Landers showed intelligence and told Rick that the Dalai Lama sitting on the stage is the real Hourglass. Hearing this, Rick went straight to the Dalai Lama on the stage in a dragonfly costume. As soon as he started beating the Dalai Lama, there was a stampede in the entire event. And meanwhile, the real Hourglass, that is Landers, is seen sitting on his flying chair. He dropped a piece of ceiling on Rick, but when Rick picked it up, he stabbed Rick with his blade. But before the blade could hit, Jill intervened and saved Rick. Here, the Hourglass sets up his setup on the roof and starts working on becoming immortal. Stephen Hawking tells Rick how you can still save Jill's life. Rick picked up Jill and went straight to the rooftop and started giving life to Jill by holding the Hourglass. After Jill came back alive, Hourglass threw a bomb at her, which Rick caught, but it stuck to the poor guy's hand. While trying to detach the bomb, it got stuck to Rick. Now when the bomb was about to explode, Rick jumped with his eyes closed and sat directly on top of the hourglass. After the bomb explodes, we get to know that the hourglass was killed in the blast. Rick also had special armor, due to which not even a hair was damaged. But due to the explosion, Jill started falling down. Now Rick jumps after Jill to save her. Here, seeing Rick's ring in the air, Jill realizes that this superhero is none other than her own Rick. Both of them kiss in the air, and then we come to know another superpower of Rick. These were the wings of the dragonfly, which come out only when falling. After this, Rick and Jill were roaming around in the sky when suddenly a helicopter came and took them away. Well, what if there is a superpower? Stupid will remain stupid, right? With this, the story ends. And to keep watching such amazing videos, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more, then let us tell you that this was the story of Superhero Movie, which was released in 2008. Thank you.